you managed to do that, you've added the bit of JavaScript into the home page, and you've added your um, top navigation bar as well. Now, what we're going to do is we're just going to edit this top navigation bar. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into our style sheet, and we're going up to the top nav. And we can see there that's the background color. That's the sort of background color of, um, if we have a look at that, that's this black here. So what we're going to do is we're just going to go into our style sheet, and this black color here, I'm just going to change that. Okay, so I'm just going to change that to white. Okay, and what you can do is each time you're doing something, you can just go backwards and forwards. So this is where you can play a little bit with the stuff. So you can see now that the navigation bar is still there, but the background color has changed to white. Okay, so just showing you what we can do. All right, if we go back to our page, you can see this is white here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the actual color of the yeah, I'm going to change the color of this area, or maybe these elements as well, just to see if I can make it look quite nice. Okay, so if I go down on my style sheet, um, when we hover, it becomes white. So what I'm going to do is I might change that to blue. Okay, and again, when I do that, you'll see that we can sort of see what happens. So now when I roll over, these become blue. Now you might not want that, that's fine. But I'm just showing you things that you can do. You can sort of go through each of these elements. Okay, it's active. This means that when it's on this particular page, um, when so we can see on this here, this is green. Okay, so this is basically the active one. It's active. This is the color there. So I probably don't want that. So I'm going to make that black. So again, when I'm just sort of checking things through, going back, and you can see now that I was looking black there, and then when I hover, it's blue. But what I'm also going to do is I'm going to change the text color, because I want to be able to see that text. So what I'm trying to do is we can go into these different areas. The color, you can see that's white. So I'm going to change that to maybe a grey. Okay, I'm going to go for a sort of dark grey. Okay, so in the top now, this is the style in the links. Okay, so I've changed the color of my text to dark grey. Again, this is where you can just play with this and just see if you can get things working. But now you can see that I can actually see my my sort of, it's not brilliant. So probably what I will do is I might go back to that and say, well, I don't really want that grey. I'm going to have a deeper grey than that. So maybe that color, that slate grey. Okay, and again, it's just making sure that you know that you can change things. So now they're standing out a little bit more. I probably don't want that blue, so I probably will change that. But what we're doing is we're sort of just tailoring and making this look a little bit nicer. The final thing I'm going to do is you can see on this, it's butting up to this area we made earlier. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move it to this right hand side. The way that we do this, you can see that this top now is floated to the left at the moment. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to float that to what's called the right. Okay, and see what happens there. So when I float that to the right, you can see that now this looks quite nice because it's kind of in this corner. Okay, and the reason why we're doing this is that when we sort of make this smaller, what we're trying to do is we're trying to make it so then we can have all this stuff working nicely on a smaller screen. Okay, so we've still got a little bit of work to do, but it's not looking too bad. What we might do is we might make these a little bit smaller so they're not as large as this as well. But this is where you can sort of play with these elements, and you can kind of work it out what you want. So we've got this padding stuff here, and we've got some font, um, which which we can kind of play around with. So we might not want the font size to be that big. So we might want to say, well, let's change the font size to 14. Okay, and then what we can do is, um, yeah, we can sort of maybe change that color, the hover again. Maybe we can change that to the kind of the grey. What we had was it a slate grey. Okay, so all we're doing is we're sort of just playing and seeing if we can. That looks a bit nicer. This is slightly smaller in our size, and then again when we're sort of there, it looks quite nice. So I might kind of change the way this width here where the home is as well, so this sort of doesn't come as far as this. But yeah. So what I'd like you to do is I'd like you just to sort of go into this HTML, sorry, the style sheet area in this top nav, and I just want you to sort of play with it and see if you can just change things about and think, oh, what does that change? Will that kind of work? This bit underneath it here, these media scripts, what these doing, these are kind of making things collapse when the screen gets smaller. So these are what's called media queries. Okay. All right. So have a go at doing that and see if you can get that working.